Today we're looking at family trees from GCSE Biology paper 2 for combined and triple science. And as always, we'll have a look at the question first and then we'll break down the mark scheme and build a full marks answer. And here is our question for today. We have a family tree, and with this one, we need to explain how figure 1 shows the allele for polydactyly is not on the Y chromosome. I know that these diagrams can be quite daunting the first time that you see one, and if you haven't been practicing with them and working out how they work, they can be particularly tricky if it turns up in your exam and you've not prepared. So what we want to do is make this super easy to read and work out exactly what all of this means to help us to answer all of these questions. If you'd like to give this question a go and see how many marks you can get before we look at the mark scheme and build a full marks answer, you can pause the video now. And if there is a topic that you're particularly worried about losing marks on, do let me know in the comments so that I can cover it in a future video. Okay, and here is our mark scheme. So we've got females in the pedigree have polydactyly, persons 3, 11, and 12, and females do not have a Y chromosome or a Y-linked allele, can only be inherited by males. So really straightforward 2-mark answer, but we want to see how we can get to that from this diagram. So when we're looking at our diagram, we've got our key, we've got squares for male, circles for female. They are highlighted when they have the condition, and they are left blank when they don't have the condition. So polydactyly is caused by a dominant allele in this family, and the capital D for dominant allele and a lowercase d for recessive allele. So what we want to do is, and it's something that I like to do with these kinds of diagrams because normally there isn't just one question with it. I do have another question to go with it in a minute. There's normally multiple questions that will follow one of these diagrams. So we want to fill it in, work out who has what genotypes, and then it will help us to answer all the questions that are coming up related to it. So what I will do is, if they have the condition, they have to have this dominant allele. So that is my first job. I'm going to put one of these dominant alleles on each of these individuals that has the condition. There we go, that is all of them. And if they don't have the condition, it does mean that they have to have a homozygous recessive allele genotype. So all of these ones that don't have the condition don't have a dominant allele, so they're all going to be lowercase d. Every single one of them. Sometimes these diagrams are a bit smaller as well. This is quite a big one. So now we just need to work out what our other allele is that goes with this dominant one. And the way that we do that is by looking at offspring. So if we start at person 1 up in this corner, and we look at the offspring, so 2 people join together, sort of like partnered. When we have our line going down, the next row is the offspring. And say like person 5 I've written there, but they don't have a line going up there, so they aren't offspring to this 2. So if person 5 is sort of maybe married to person 4. So 3, 4, and 6 are all offspring of 1 and 2. So what we look at is the offspring. 2 of them have the condition, but importantly, 1 of them doesn't. So this one has 2 recessive alleles, and they have to have got one of these alleles from each parent. So one has come from this one with the 2 recessive alleles, and the other one is recessive, and that has to have come from person 1. So that means that we have a recessive allele there as well. So now I can fill all the rest of these out as all having a recessive allele there too. And now we know the genotypes for every person that is in that family tree. So maybe if we have a question asking us for a genotype of one of these people, we can do it dead quick. And then if we need to explain it, we can just say about these offspring, and by this one not having a dominant allele but being an offspring of person 1, that indicates that person 1 had to have a recessive allele, but they have the condition, so they also have a dominant allele. So we've established why that is happening, if that would have been the question. So what we can think about, explain how figure 1 shows the allele for polydactyly is not on the Y chromosome. So we've got not highlighted just so that you don't miss it. And the way that we can do that is by looking at the actual offspring themselves. So we'll talk about X and Y chromosomes. So we're looking at males and females. So I'll put these here. So let's think. So we've got XY for the male, XX for female, XY male, XX female. So what we need to do is work out that this allele, the dominant one, isn't on the Y chromosome. So what we can do is look at the offspring for this first one. That's probably the easiest place to start. So what we can say is, I will put the actual chromosomes just here underneath as well, just to simplify what we are doing. So this is female as well, and this is female. So what we can establish is, just by looking, let me get my other pen, at these two, we have a male and a female. Both of them have the condition. So that means, had this allele, this dominant allele being on the Y chromosome, it would be impossible for a female to have the condition because they don't have a Y chromosome. So had the dominant allele been linked to the Y chromosome, you wouldn't have any females at all with that condition. So literally, just because a female has the condition, it has to be on an X chromosome. And it's literally as straightforward as that. So when we're doing our 2-mark answer, we need to say what the thing is. We need to say why it's that way. So just to explain exactly what I have just said. So females there. And you can see on this mark scheme, females in the pedigree. So the pedigree is just referring to this family tree. If you say the family tree, that's fine. So literally just saying females. I'm just going to say in the family tree, because people don't always refer to them as pedigree. So you're not going to lose marks by saying that it's a family tree instead of a pedigree. Females in the family tree have polydactyly. And polydactyly is a condition where you get extra fingers and toes. It's one of your sort of inherited disorders that you could come across in GCSEs. Like maybe cystic fibrosis is another one. There's a couple to pick from, but usually it will tell you in the question what the condition causes if it is a particularly tricky one like this. So let's see. Families in the family tree have polydactyly. You can name the persons like it says there in the mark scheme. You can actually just say person 3, 11, 12 if you need to, but that is absolutely fine that we've got the females in the family have polydactyly. So that's where we go with our set 2-mark answers, a so or a but. So we need to say why that is. Why are we saying that? What is the reason? That's what gets us our 2nd mark. And it is literally just females don't have a Y chromosome. Females in the family tree have polydactyly. This means that the dominant allele, or should we just say the polydactyly allele must be on the X chromosome as females don't have a Y chromosome. Females in the family tree have polydactyly, so this means that the polydactyly allele must be on the X chromosome, as females don't have a Y chromosome. 2 marks, and that is absolutely everything that you need to do for that. And it took slightly longer because we went through the diagram, but that is something that you could chuck out there in maybe like a minute, work it out dead quick, and it will help you to work this out. If you need to look at something about chromosomes and being linked to chromosomes, then you can also be doing this sort of stuff just to help yourself, I suppose. Maybe if you're just a bit unsure or you want to just double check that you're right with everything as you're saying it, that's a way to do it. So I do have another question that we can do dead quick that goes with this, and it is this one. So we still have our diagram there. for our family tree. I've just copied it over onto this next page so that we have it. So if you do want to try this one, again, you can pause now and have a quick go at it to see how many marks you can get before I reveal the mark scheme for it. So what I will do is quickly refill in this family tree, and I'll just go through that process again and see how quick it is that you can just do it real time in your exam. So I'm going to start dominant alleles with our condition. Double recessive because they don't have the dominant allele, because they don't have the condition. And then we have our offspring that doesn't have our condition, indicating that they must have got that recessive allele from person 1. So now we know the rest of it. There we go, done. So Polydactyly, it's got our dominant recessive alleles there. Again, I don't need to read that again. So person 7 and person 8 in figure 1 are expecting a 4th child. What is the probability of the child having polydactyly? So that is something that we need to answer. And you should, it's our shopping list for things that we need to do. Draw a Punnett square diagram. Identify which offspring have polydactyly, and this is for 5 marks. It seems like there's a lot of marks there for what we need to do. So let's have a look at what we need to do on the mark scheme. So 5 marks there. Correct paternal genotype, correct maternal genotype, correct offspring genotypes, and then we need our offspring identified as having polydactyly and our probability. So 5 different things to do. So I will whiz through this now for you. I do have another video on Punnett squares if you want to practice these a bit more and see what tricks we can get up to. I'd probably maybe use the ruler in the exam. I don't have one handy, but I will just sketch this out dead quick, and I will put an extra line there so that I'm not overly confusing things. So dead rough Punnett square diagram there. And what I will do, just to help me, I'm going to write male there, I'm going to write female there, just so I don't get confused midway through the answer. So person 7 and person 8 are our parents. So there they are. So we've got the male there, and there is our genotype identified dead quick because we've done the diagram. There is person 8. We also know their genotype. So that is done already, and we have 2 marks as quick as that, really quick. So now we need our offspring genotypes, and we will just do it as we always do a Punnett square. I'm going to go across and down. So got this one, go there with this one, down with this one, across with this one, down with this one, across with this one, down with this one. 3 marks. That is in the bag. And now we need to identify which ones have polydactyly, and we know this. It is any that have a dominant allele. So I will say, write this in here, maybe small. Just by doing that, we're up to 4 marks. And now probability, quick as. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 offspring there. 2 of them have a chance, or 2 of them will have it out of the 4. So I can say it's going to be 2 out of 4, which is going to give me 1 out of 2 when I simplify it, or I can just say half of them, 50%. And if you're working on having a minute per mark, that probably didn't take that long, and you bought a bit of time back just by having done this. So maybe the minute or 2 minutes that it takes you to do this, you are saving that time back by how much time you've saved having to just sort of be working this out while you're trying to do this. By having this done already, you are sort of straight on to just blasting that into your Punnett square and getting all 5 marks. And 5 marks is quite a big chunk. I mean, you think about it, it's 5% of your exam for what just turned out to be really easy because we've done the groundwork already for answering the other question earlier on. Hopefully that made the structure of the answer a bit clearer and showed you exactly what the examiner is looking for on this topic. If the video helped you, give it a like, because it really helps the channel to reach more students that are also revising for their exams. And if you know someone who needs help with this topic, do feel free to share this video with them. And check out these other GCSE walkthroughs that are on screen now. And thanks for watching, and good luck.